Down to the left, get down to the right. Come on, you fucking make it to the left, right. Come on down to goddamn Gucci now. Piss me off.
Fucking jerk.
You get
Get
on my
on my
nerves.
This is even better.
I love it. Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to the Friday installment of the Two Dumb Yinzers. This is episode 696. Good morning, everybody. Good morning, Finch. Welcome back to the show. How you doing today, brother?
I'm doing all right today. I missed yesterday's show, so I just want to take a moment to say that RIP to Mike Lang. And it was a really tough day for Pittsburgh media yesterday. John Burnett from CBS, KDKA passed away as well. And former Steeler Mike Collier, I believe, passed away. That's a tough day, man. Tough day.
Absolutely.
Tough
That's
day.
like Ryan and I were talking about it. Like comes in threes.
Yeah.
And then like
it
when,
always does.
Yeah, when Burnett died, like Ryan texted me. He was like, "Look, it's happening."
There's three. Well, we talked yesterday, Finch. Of course, everyone knows that Mike Lang passed, but also Scott Sauerbeck, the former Pittsburgh.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. So that
Now,
was number 4.
You did mention that as well.
Now, what people don't realize about Scott Sauerbeck is he spent about 4 years here in Pittsburgh. He was here in 99 to 03. Scott Sauerbeck he shares the club record for most games pitched by a left-handed pitcher in a season for the Pirates. So, Finch, you being a southpaw, you can certainly, respect what he did. I mean, a lot of people don't even realize, people see that name like, oh, he was a Pirate. But again, look at what he did when he was here. He has the club record shared. I don't know. It didn't say with who, but most games pitched by a left-handed pitcher in a season. So again, between him and Burnett and Mike Lang and Collier. So, when it rains, it pours. And, Mike, you and I were saying just yesterday, I think only 2 of those people who had passed at the time. And we said, You know what? They come in threes. I wonder who it's going to be next. At first I was like Pittsburgh sports media. I said because it was Sauerbeck and it was also Lang. But then Burnett passed away, and I was like, oh, okay, it's just it's Pittsburgh. And then as Finch said earlier, Collier passed. So let's hope that's it here in Pittsburgh. Certainly for the weekend.
Yeah, I mean, if anybody's going to go down again, like, why can't Nutting be the guy, right? Like,
right.
I hate to wish death on someone, but
that would help.
Yeah,
that would help the team. That would improve the team. Would be the classic example of addition by subtraction.
Good morning, the gent on the board. Happy Friday to you, our friend. I hope everything's going well for you, Mike. How you doing today, man?
Oh, I'm doing great, man. It's Friday.
It's Friday.
Yeah, it's my Thursday, but it's Friday for everyone else. So I'm pumped. I'm excited. It's a good day.
It worked the other day. I was telling Mike I was producing a basketball game, local high school basketball game, and the team Aliquippa we talk about quite often on the show here because they're so dominant in all the sports and they have more NFL Hall of Famers than any other high school. So we certainly talk about them here. Well, it was the girls' game that I was working on. And Finch, Aliquippa was up on this team 59-1 at halftime. 59-1.
Unbelievable. Who were they playing against?
Carmichael's.
Oh my goodness. And
these kids are just tough. They're just so tough. And these kids from Aliquippa, and it's always been that way. God bless them. All right, what do these kids eat they nails for breakfast? I mean, you know what I mean? Like,
Ryan,
how are you so consistently tough over the years?
Specifically remember you telling me a story of when you were a kid playing football for Monaco or whoever you played for, and you went and played a game at Aliquippa with kids who were like 12 or something, and you said you and your team
I've ever played.
Yeah, like walk past the bench or walk past the room, and all the Aliquippa players were standing there barking at you.
They were barking at us,
and you said it was the most intimidating thing you had ever seen in your life to that point, and that always stuck with me. And it's wild, man. The culture at that high school is absolutely ridiculous when it comes to sports. It'd be nice if maybe the academics could catch up, but that seems to be the case around the nation with a lot of these big sports high schools. So I mean,
it is catching up to in a sense, Finch, because you've seen one of the graduates from last year. He ended up going to an Ivy League school, and a lot of these other kids who weren't making Division I. They're all hitting on these other schools, your Westminster, your Marietta, schools like this, which is great for them. They should, it's super for their future. And you know what? It's funny. It's funny because you did the story that you just reminded me of. I was thinking about it a little bit earlier today because of the what I was going to say about Aliquippa. And it was Finch. It was my very first game. We were all probably about
Yeah.
9 years old, 10 years old. And our very first game was Aliquippa. And we were this little white school. So this was the first time that I'm going to be honest, the first time that most of the kids on the team seen a
Yeah,
black
you've
kid.
seen anybody of color, yeah.
Right. So we go, and like I said, first thing you go right into the locker room to get weighed. And there was, 25 kids all sitting along this wall, probably about 4.5 feet up in the, up off the floor. They're just barking. All of them. They're barking. I tell you what, every kid on the team that I knew of, they wanted to go. They didn't want to have any part of this football team. We went out there, Finch. It was a disaster. I remember like it was yesterday, 53-0. I was 9 years old. I can remember it was like it was yesterday, 53-0. I remember I've never seen a kid move so fast to that point in my life. I've never seen people be so aggressive. Mind you, it was a little white lily school that I grew up in. So to see this, it was a culture shock. In halftime coming around, I remember kids were crying. They wanted to get the hell out of there.
Isn't it wild that it was such a culture shock for a town that's less than 10 miles away? That's what's wild. I mean,
less than 10 minutes away, Finch. I mean,
that's just down the river, down Route 51, and you're there, dude. Like,
it's the next town over.
Wild. Yeah, it's wild.
And I remember I finally get out there, and they let me finally in at the end of the game. And I was the only kid that had my uniform looked like it was just completely washed. And I'm looking up at my dad, and again, this is my very first game, and I see him pointing, and I'm like, yeah, I was excited because I thought he was pointing because I'm in, and he was telling me to pay attention. Sure as shit, Finch, Mike, they snapped the ball. I got hit so fucking hard. The only thing I remember was laying on my back, looking out through the side of through the ear hole as all these black legs just kept running past really, really fast. And that was my experience with again, the very first game. We learned a lot that day. The kids at my school, we learned a lot that day, but that culture has never changed. You got to figure that was probably 1988, give or take. So
yeah, probably
at least from 88 till now. I know it's been rough. These kids, for the first year, just last year, they didn't go to Heinz Field for the first time in like 18 years or something crazy.
Yeah, I think it was like 17 seasons straight or 14 seasons straight, some ridiculous number. Yeah.
And it's, like you said, it's unbelievable how consistent this culture is in Aliquippa. I mean, good for them. I just really felt bad for those little white girls that like I said, if it was 57-1 at halftime, I thought that they're no matter what you do, if you would take this group of kids. If you would take this group of kids and you would give them a professional trainer and work them 365 days, they would still not be anywhere near ready to play that basketball team they played in Aliquippa. They just wouldn't. So you know what I mean? It's kind of, I'm kind of torn in a sense. Maybe there needs to be like a little Lily White League off to the side that teams like this can play. Because come on, again, 57-1 at halftime. I think they scored 6 ultimately through the course of the game. The other team did. But, this was a playoff team. Carmichael's was a playoff team. It wasn't even like they're a team that, they didn't even belong out there, Finch. It was unbelievable.
Brian makes a comment. He says, Ryan, with that beard the whole time, I thought you were black. This is mind-blowing to me the entire time you've obviously never spoken to Ryan there, Brian, because just listening to him speak is just pure whiteness.
Yeah.
It's like looking at
the glaring light.
The glare off of Mike's head. You can't see what's. Oh, hold on, I'm not getting it. Ryan with the beard. This whole time, I thought you were black. All right, I don't get it, but
making a joke.
I know it's
maybe because there's just so much hair there that it obscures the skin.
Oh, okay.
I would have went with Arab personally, Brian, but whatever. Akula bar.
Corey Beavers, good morning, my friend. He says, hey guys, I watched your show from yesterday. I gotta say, if we sign Daniel Jones, it's only because as sees him as the next Tannehill, it'll be a phenomenal failure. Yinzer Joe, good morning. He says, I'd rather have Tannehill. Roger Murray, good morning, my friend. He says, I'd pass on both of those guys.
Yeah. I don't hate, I've said this before on this show, man. Daniel Jones, to me, I think is a little bit better than what he's led on. He's proven before that he can make throws. He had a good career in college. He wouldn't be the worst fit in Pittsburgh. He would be a better fit for us than Tannehill or some of these other yahoos, I think. I don't hate the idea of Danny Dimes. As long as we can get him on the cheap, and as long as we understand what he is and use him to his capacity, he would be a great backup. That's what we could use. He would be a good backup to Justin Fields, in my opinion.
That wouldn't be bad you know Fields, and then you have Jones as your 1 and 2. And
Yeah, I don't think it's the worst.
This year. This team was not a Super Bowl contender. Let's just be honest
course.
here, face facts. This is the team that's going to struggle to make the playoffs, and then if they make it, they're going to get bounced out. In the first round. So those would be the two ideal quarterbacks to have, and you just build your team around them. If you fluke into a playoff one, that's awesome. If one of those two develops, that's even better, because you figure your starting quarterbacks are either going to be like a Justin Fields, a Danny Dimes, a Zach Wilson, a Mason Rudolph, a Mac Jones type quarterback. Those are going to be the quarterbacks of the Pittsburgh Steelers. Like we've talked about numerous times on the show, or in the Kent Graham, Jim Miller, Cordell Stewart era of the Pittsburgh Steelers. That's where we're at right now.
Cordell was a much better athlete than any of those guys, but I mean, all around.
I think Fields might be a better athlete. Yeah. I
do want to say good morning to Brian on the board. Also, Roger says as a backup, I can go along with that.
Yeah, I think he would be a good backup for Justin Fields. I think that could be a good formula for next year to get this team back together.
Yeah.
And then you work on it the following season in the draft.
There's going to be somebody, and it's, again, one of these bottom dwellers, but there's going to be somebody that comes along and they're going to be willing to pay Daniel Jones. I mean, the guy has, as you guys stated, the pedigree out of college, and then he went to the Giants. I mean, you see how that kind of, playing for the Giants could kind of retard your career. I mean, obviously, you see what Saquon Barkley can do on a good team, and, see kind of how he was held back in the Giants organization. I think it's the same case with Daniel Jones.
I can give you a great example to kind of go with what you're saying there. Tim and I on the Two Cranky Jagoffs every Friday night at 9:30, we discuss the Bears a lot because Tim's a Bears fan. And a great example would be Caleb Williams and Jaden Daniels. Two guys who had very similar statistics all season. Both of them had decent wide receivers to throw to, but one won a ton of games and made it to a title game, and the other won like 6 games all year. So, the surrounding team around that player has a lot to do with it. A great quarterback. It's very rare that a truly great quarterback carries the team completely. Even in the case of Pat Mahomes, he doesn't carry the team completely. He puts the team on his back, but at the end of the day, he still needs great players to throw to, and he needs to be blocked for. And that's the difference. Somebody like a Daniel Jones might do well in a team that has a great offensive line. Is that team the Steelers? Probably not. But, you can't.
It's probably not good for his career that he comes here, but it might be good for us, as you were saying. Let me get a couple of these on the board here. Corey, he says, I agree, but he's being viewed as the next starter. Allegedly, someone on another show said Trey Lance. We're just throwing out ridiculous.
Right,
that's it. That's what we said at the beginning of the week. This is what you're going to get.
Yeah, this is a fun time of the year when it comes to the NFL, because we can have these kind of conversations, and as wacky and outlandish as it sounds, it's still kind of a fun converation to have.
Well, that was, I think, on the day that we talked about Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah,
I think somebody, not on the board, but on the comments in the on YouTube, they said fake news. And the first thing I thought was, wow, somebody's crediting us for being news. I thought that was pretty exciting. But that's what it is. It's going to be that from here on out. Again, on March 12th, we do start free agency, which is less than a month away. So, I mean, come on, here in about 3.5 weeks, guys, it's going to be a lot of fun. Guys are going to be moving all over the league. We're going to be getting new faces. We have ample money to do things this year. So I'm really excited. Again, March 12th, next week, I think on Thursday through the weekend into the following week, we do have the NFL Combine. We're going to be following that. So, I mean, it's all going to be keep going here, guys. It's a hurry up and wait thing with football season, but nonetheless, it is 365 days a year. That's why we like to stay smack dab in the middle of everything and keep on top of everything. And as I said, it's a lot of fun the whole way through. Combine, we have the free agency, then the following month we have the draft. And guys, believe it or not, we're only 426 days away from the draft in Pittsburgh. So it's fun times. Even though our football team isn't bringing home the Lombardi every year like we would like, it's still a lot of fun, guys. Yenzer Joe says, I don't know about that, Mike. We're going to have a lot of cap money fill in where they had issues and draft good. Who knows? Mike, you know what? We generally draft rounds 1 through 3 pretty good. I mean, you look back at Najee and Freiermuth, and the draft picks that we have, they 1, 2, and 3 are usually very helpful for the Steeler team coming in pretty young, especially this year.
Yeah.
We have to continue that, Mike, and we have to have a strong draft this year. As we were saying, there's a lot of money to spend, a lot of money to bring folks in, but I think, Mike, this is a critical year that we need to have a good draft more than any year in the past for the most part.
Yeah, we have to hit. And you look back, even like some of these past drafts, like you got George Pickens was a second round pick. He's a major contributor. Calvin Austin, he was a fourth round pick. He came on strong, big contributor. Najee and Frymuth, big contributors to the offense. Dan Moore, he up and down, but he's played just about every single snap he can play in the NFL. He has played. So 1, 2, 3, and every once in a while we hit a fourth and sixth round guy. So we've been getting contributions there. Look at Broderick Jones hasn't been the greatest, but he's shown flashes. Joey Porter, Keanu Benton, Washington Herbig, and in the draft 2 years ago, you're getting a lot of contribution there. And even this year, with Frazier and Peyton Wilson, you got a lot, and Mason McCormick, you're getting a lot of starts, quality starts, and quality play too. And then you got like Fatano, who was hurt, Roman Wilson, who was hurt. So you have guys that have yet to go out there that you're going to expect a lot of. So that's been key right there. These past couple of drafts haven't been the greatest, like the last two that Colbert had with, the Kenny Pickett, Najee, and all them, but you're getting good, solid contribution from them. You want more, but they're solid NFL players. Draft classes have been solid NFL players, and this year, hopefully, where we're picking and the way the draft's falling, we might get an impact wide receiver, an impact defensive lineman in rounds 1 and 2. So we can make a jump right there, and in free agency too.
This is the year.
This year is to get the have a strong free agency and then go and have a strong draft. Then you have your foundation for a good team, to where if you have a quarterback that can be even a low-tier quarterback in a starting range, you have weapons around them, and then you have a good defense around them too. This team could be more competitive game in, game out than we were this year. We had that big stretch in those last 5 games where we struggled. You build a better team around whoever the quarterback's going to be. I think the team will be better this year, but everything has to hit right.
Yeah, like you said, I think that this is an important year, Mike. I think that we do have to hit it. We got to hit the draft good, and I think there's potential for a lot of good picks to be had.
Yeah,
Corey Fields to a 2-year, $25 million, and beef up our offensive line through free agency, and then draft a wide receiver and running back. And see,
wait, Corey, you make it sound so simple. You make it sound so easy. That's all they got to do. That's it. Omar Khan, we don't need that guy. Let's get Corey Beavers up there.
Well, he's not wrong, though. He's not wrong.
But you could also say, let's just draft Tom Brady.
I know, right?
Tom Brady. That's all we got to do. We just need to draft Tom Brady and Ocho Cinco, and we'll be great. We'll have the right team. Is there any LTs? Let's get Lawrence Taylor
let me cherry pick something right out of this.
That's the part of the fun of this time of the year, though. That's the fun time of this year.
Right, yeah.
Let me cherry pick.
We're all playing Madden right now.
What Corey did say, because a lot of talk over the past couple, that there's a lot of traction gained for this whole Najee returning thing. And on top of that, I've seen the Steelers are very much interested in Nick Chubb, which we talked about yesterday, Mike, coming off a big injury from last season. Not exactly young anymore, but at the end of the day, I think you're going to get nice production out of Chubb if you would go that way, but just how much are you willing to pay? But those are 2 things that I did read over the past 24 hours. The Steelers are in Najee. The interest is definitely getting drummed up a little bit. And then again, I know they said that they're very interested in Nick Chubb. So again, who knows? Who knows what's going to happen? We were sitting here this time last year, didn't know what was coming, and we were just about 3 weeks away from Patrick Queen becoming a Steeler. And I think they hit like 2 or 3 moves that day, didn't they? Or around that period of time. Russell Wilson was in there.
Yeah, we got Russell Wilson, then traded Kenny, got Fields, got Patrick Queen. I don't know if it was in that order, but that's, those 3 moves all happened in the same cluster. It was wild. Then we traded Deontay and got Dante.
So within a month
really quick as well. Yeah.
It's going to getting a lot of fun.
Yeah. Omar, and we've learned, man, Omar Khan and Andy Weidel are not afraid to be aggressive. And we saw the way they moved on from Kenny Pickett. They're not afraid to move on from their draft picks if they don't think they're going to pan out or if they think they can find something better. So,
everybody, Mike,
one thing that's coming up? Yeah, go ahead.
Mike, everybody except for Mark Robinson for some reason, right?
I know. They like his production on special teams.
Okay.
I
I
get
thought you were
that.
gonna say they like his production in practice.
No. They like what they're seeing
Talk
in
about
special.
practice.
No, talking about practice. Like
Not
he's
a
that
game.
guy. They thought they might get something out of him on being a rotational piece, and then realized no, this dude's just going to be a special teamer, and that's okay. We see someone like Miles Killebrew how important it is to have good special teams play. So, but I don't know if Mark Robinson makes the team this year again if it's just for special teams. He might make it or not, but shit, I had something I was going to say here, and I can't remember what it was.
I would like to touch on the Nick Chubb thing real
go ahead.
quick.
Yeah.
I think Nick Chubb would be a fantastic fit here. He's proven that he is willing to split time when he was with Cleveland. Remember that him and it was Hunt, right? He and Hunt both had 1,000-yard seasons.
Hunt's out there too.
Yeah, I mean, I think Warren and Chubb might not be the worst combo. I think we could really put something together if we had those guys. I don't hate it. However, Chubb, he is starting to get age a little bit. He does have injury issues back and forth over the last couple seasons. But if he's healthy and you can get him at a good price, which that also is a factor, because he might command a little more than what we ask. I don't hate that idea of bringing Nick Chubb in. I think he'd be great. The only thing I have against him is that he used to play for the Browns, and that kind of sucks. But that's a me thing, not a team thing. So. I don't hate the Nick Chubb possibility.
Me either. And like the big thing was like that one injury, like one major injury, and it was that Mika Fitzpatrick.
He's getting aged a little bit. The age times,
Sorry, Ryan.
right. That's what I'm saying. That injury.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that injury though. That with his age certainly makes you concerned. If you're looking at this player, of course, everybody would like to have Nick Chubb.
Oh, yeah.
But again, with his age and career, that's what kind of scares me. And again, you're bringing him in as a primary to be a split time. It isn't like he's the secondary running back. I mean, he's coming in with all the experience all the time in the league. So the time it's split would be between him and Warren, I think would be pretty even. But you know what? At the end of the day, who wouldn't want Nick Chubb, right?
Yeah.
I'd take Mod Caleb.
Yeah, if the money's right and he's willing to do
it. That's the comment of the day right there.
Yeah, that got a very good chuckle out of me. That was a good one.
Yeah, it was good. But yeah, like Nick Chubb, like, and just looking online, like, the projected market value for him is like $3 million, like 3.3 million. That's not bad for the production you're expecting out of him. Jalen Warren, I know the Steelers. He's 28. He'd be 29, I believe, is what his age was. Let me double check that. Yeah, he's 29, going to be 30. Excuse me. And then if the Steelers bring back Jalen Warren, because I think they put a tender on him, like one of the tender options, so he'll be back. Jalen Warren's not going anywhere. You have those two as your running backs. I think you're going to get the same amount or close to the same amount of rushing yards total between Chubb and Warren that you got with Najee and Jalen Warren. So it's going to be a wash right there if that's what they do, or get another veteran in vein of Nick Chubb, whether it be in like an Aaron Jones, who else? I forget who else was out there in the running back situation, but I think they're going to get a veteran. They're going to get someone in the draft probably around 5. I don't know if they have they have a 5th, no 6th. I'm looking for a running back in 4th, 5th round for this team. That just seems to be what they're going to do. I don't think Najee's coming back.
Yender Joe says he wouldn't pay Fields $8 a year to sit the bench. That's the thing about that's going to get tricky about Justin Fields. Somebody's going to pay him to be a starter.
Yeah.
And, and again, I know the Jets are already willing to back the Brinks truck up for him. So it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. And if that does play out, then what's our move? Because it almost feels like everyone's kind of, it's comfortable. We have the back, we have a quarterback we could go with. Everybody's saying, let's give Fields a chance. Let's run it back with him. So, I mean, if he gets pulled out from underneath our feet, that could be really interesting moving forward. Yender Joe says, I used to hate Joe Hayden, but that passes. I don't hate Chubb. You know what? I feel the same way.
Yeah.
When Hayden come, I thought, Brown. But he ended up being one of my favorite cornerbacks.
Yeah.
You're breaking up so bad, Ryan.
Yeah, you're buffering a little bit there, Ryan.
In a long time.
Ryan, you're breaking up a little bit there. But yeah, like Aaron Rodgers, like if we lose out on any of these younger quarterbacks,
would be the beginning of free agency see. It's going to be a blast. I know. Yeah. I'm trying to figure out what's going on. Why?
Remember that scene
Does
from
anybody know,
Wayne's
Mike?
World when they were talking into the drive-through and they were breaking it up on purpose? That's what you sound like right now.
Yeah.
It's not your fault.
It's not your fault. No, yeah. But what was I going to say? Like something I've been seeing online and on the radio is if we miss out on all these quarterbacks, like Fields, Daniel Jones, Darnold, Aaron Rodgers should be the starting quarterback for the Steelers, because he would tell Mike Tomlin how the offense should be played, and he would be the leader of the Steelers.
Let's be honest, Aaron Rodgers probably would. His schemes would probably work better than Tomlin's right now. I mean, let's be honest.
But
whether he could throw the ball is another story.
But now, do you want that whole circus,
that whole package? No thanks.
With him, no, you don't want that with him.
No, he's not the MVP anymore.
No, he's not the guy who he once was.
I'm sorry to see Ryan had to cut out, but
yeah, if you're not getting Aaron Rodgers of 10 years ago, you don't want Aaron Rodgers.
No.
You don't want him at all. You don't want him anywhere near this team. You don't want him anywhere near George Pickens. That's the thing.
That's another thing. Toxicity spreads. And I could see Aaron being one of those guys that starts a locker room gang to go. You know what I mean? Like he does. And Pickens is the kind of guy who would just eat that shit up. You know what I mean? And you're right. It would be like a cancer in the locker room. There aren't very many players in the NFL all time who are worth that sort of toxicity, and Aaron Rodgers definitely is not that guy.
No, he's not that guy. And oh my God, I wouldn't want him. I'd rather lose with like Corey Beavers just saying Rodgers only leads Rodgers.
Perfect way to put it, Corey.
Yeah, I'd rather lose with Fields and Daniel Jones or Zach Wilson or Mac Jones.
Yeah, somebody without the inflated ego.
Yeah.
Someone who hasn't, had so much winning in the past that it's turned him into a real dick.
And like Roger Murray's saying, Aaron, he's the worst teammate. Dude blames everyone but himself, and he does it publicly.
Right.
Yeah, he gets on his soapbox, and then,
and then on top of that, he likes to... He has a lot of off-field stuff too with the way he thinks and the way he speaks. And I respect that his opinions on a lot of things. I don't agree with a lot of his stuff, but you just don't need that. You don't need there should only be one guy in the locker room preaching to people, and that's Coach Tomlin.
Yeah, and that should be the head coach.
That should be the head coach.
And then your captain should be, reinforcing what the coaches are saying.
Exactly.
You don't need anyone going rover, and let alone, a washed-up quarterback.
I agree.
That's not what you need. What's up, Ryan?
Can you hear us? I think he's frozen.
He's frozen in the space-time continuum.
No.
And like P said, he's just a free thinker, guys. Just a free thinker, Aaron Rodgers. I can't wait until Rodgers and Irsay have to make it work next season. That would be a fun atmosphere. Aaron Rodgers up in
Indianapolis,
after Anthony Richardson gets hurt again.
Hey, I was gonna say Rodgers is at that part of that time of his career where he's probably wants to go to a team in warm weather and wants to go south and everything. But the Colts have that dome, and that might be a good landing spot.
The Vikings.
Preferably, I'd like to see him in the NFC though.
Yeah, the Vikings have a dome. He can go and be finish his Brett Favre arc.
Yeah, I was just gonna say he could just manipulate the Brett Favre arc. We can put him in his Jets jersey on the cover of Madden, and then change it to a Vikings jersey a week after the game releases. Yeah. They did that with Favre. I don't know if any video gamers out there know about that, but it was a hilarious time with Favre. And that's the only thing missing from Aaron Rodgers' Favre-vacation, or Favre-vacation, or however you want to say it, is that he hasn't gone to Minnesota. He's done everything else Favre has done, right? He's won a Super Bowl. He's been an MVP.
He hasn't sent any dick pics to team reporters yet.
That we know of.
That's true. This is true. I was gonna say he hasn't done pills like Favre did, but he did go out during the offseason and do ayahuasca and tell everyone.
That's a generational thing. thing. People of the Favre generation, they all did oxys and uppers and downers and side to sides or whatever you call them. I'm not real familiar with all the drugs. But those things are that's old hat. the new thing now is the mushrooms, the ayahuasca, the super high grade marijuanas, and the other party drugs, not the heavy hard heroines and cocaines, although cocaine is kind of a nice party
I was
drug.
gonna say cocaine is a party drug,
Cocaine's a hell of a drug.
We remember the 80s.
Yeah, barely.
I
remember
was
the
like,
80s.
barely remember the 80s. The cocaine,
I was there
because when I was born. Yeah.
But to be completely honest, I mean, it's kind of outstanding how much Aaron has followed Brett's career. It's got to be a coincidence, right? It can't be a coincidence, right?
It can't be. That was his mentor.
Do you think Aaron Rodgers has Brett Favre's Wikipedia page bookmarked on his browser so that he can read it every day?
It off.
He's like, well, let's see. When Brett was 39 years and 12 days old, he did this. Oh, okay. Time to go send dick pics to a reporter.
Well, intern Caleb was saying, Rodgers had one in 2021. So there we go. That's checkmarked. We're good to go.
I don't seem to remember that, Caleb, but you know what? I'm going to believe you because I am not surprised.
Are you going to look that up? Aaron Rodgers dick pic? Just put that in your Google.
I do not want to see pictures of Aaron Rodgers as Nick Chubb.
All right. Looks like Ryan's back.
What's up, guys?
There you go.
There he is. Hey.
Yeah,
I don't know
you
what
all right, buddy?
I don't know. It was pretty rough.
We spent 2 minutes roasting Aaron Rodgers. It was kind of nice.
Yeah, no, I heard it was just difficult to get back in.
Yeah,
guys. So let's jump off of the quarterbacks and running backs for a couple minutes. Here's a name that a little less important, but nonetheless still an important football player on the team. What do you think is going to go down with a healthy Cameron Johnston after having a good season by the punter that came in last year to fill in for Johnston? Again, maybe people don't even really care, but what do you guys think? Does Cameron Johnston, does he come back to the Steelers next year? Remember, we liked him. He looked like the comedian, and he was ripped, and he could kick the football a mile.
I believe he is still under contract, because I forget how many years he signed the contract first, but he's under contract for next year. And Waitman was just a 1 year, but I'm bringing back Waitman too as well, and have those guys compete against each other.
That's just it. Competition. That's what they need to do. I mean, it's funny we're talking about a punter, but it's the exact same situation as, say, a quarterback. You have a guy who's slated as your starter. He gets hurt. It's hard to lose your job when you get hurt, and you feel bad as a coach to take somebody's job for being hurt or missing a season or whatever. But you got to let him compete. Let him go to camp, and let's see who's better.
Absolutely, guys. Again, I love this guy. I love this Cameron Johnston. Again, he had the look, he had the skill. He just, he looked like he was going to be really just a Steeler. He looked like a Steeler punter. But again, Waitman had a hell of a season.
Yeah.
Quite, from last year, Harvin, we couldn't wait to get rid of this guy. He's gone. So we have a good situation going on at punter. Here's one for you guys. Mike, I know you're into the PFF recently. Cam Hayward landed as number 17 in the top 101 NFL players from the 2024 season. He had 44 defensive stops, which put him in first. That's right. Yeah. Cam Hayward's 44 stops, according to PFF, puts him in first place in that particular category, and his 90.1 PFF grade put him in second. Mike, Cam Hayward, I think, don't get me wrong, Cam had a better season than he usually has, especially as of late. But that was better than every other defensive lineman that you've seen in the league all season. I would disagree with that heavily.
I would too. By watching what we watched and then his grades, he had stretches where he was very, very dominant. But then he would go through stretches where, he was getting bowled over, tripping over his own 2 feet. So, for me, it was a mixed bag with Cam. I was happy the way he played, but I just don't see it as he was this, the best interior defensive lineman.
Right.
We watched Dexter Lawrence play against us, and that's the grades that he's getting. That's what the production is, what I would see from Dexter Lawrence. That's what I wanted to see, the correlation with the grades in the play. But you also hold to a fact, when Cam Hayward was in the lineup, teams rushing against us, they didn't do as well when he was out of the lineup. But that begs the question, like, okay, how many times did they run when he was in there and not in there? What are we doing in the pass game or what were they doing passing the ball when Cam was in there? Did they decide like, hey, he's not the pass rusher he once was, and we can, pass all over him, so we're not going to run when he's out there? The backup, yeah, you can run over just about any backup in the league with your starting O-line. So that's got to take all these stats with a grain of salt. I just don't think he was as dominant all year long as people were making him out to
No,
be. I thought he had
a better season than he's been having recently.
Yeah, he had it. And there were games where he was dominant, but there's other games like people were saying he had like 6 pressures against the Broncos. I went back, I watched the coach's film. I saw him go by the quarterback 3 times. Where are they getting these numbers?
Pressure, like with these pressures, Mike, is they bank on the fact that you're never going to go back and watch tape to see if Cam Hayward had exactly 6 pressures. That's what I'm convinced of sometime, and I think you see that in all sports with statistic inflation. I think it does happen. I really do. And again, they're going to bank on the fact that you're not going to go back and watch this game play for play to see that Cam did what I didn't see it either, Mike. No. He had, it was a better season than he's been having as of late, but still not as good of a season as the premier defensive lineman in the league. So yes, he played good, but to say he was number 1, that's crazy to me. Again, Dexter Lawrence, all the guys. Come on, we don't have to go through the names.
Jalen Carter,
this guy was better than all of them. I
don't see it. And they were saying it against Kansas City. I'm looking at his PFF grades now. Like he was a 90.1 against Kansas City. Like they fucking dominated us up front. And even if I'm looking at his,
if we would have played good, I mean, we got killed that game.
And like looking at his numbers, like. After the Bengals regular season game, he was a 79.2, then went like a 64, 66, a 62, up to the 90, 70 against the Bengals, and then in the biggest game of the year that mattered against Baltimore, a 67.6. So, okay, he's not showing up for the big games. He didn't show up. He showed up apparently once or twice during that 6-game losing or that 5-game losing streak. So.
Ginzer Joe really made a good point, though. He says even when Cam didn't get to the quarterback, he did get a lot of batted balls. I did see a lot of batted balls. There's no 2 ways about that. When it comes to Cam,
which is huge.
I mean, the guy's 7 foot tall. He better be batting.
Yeah. But I do like the way the batted balls. To me, that is huge. That's just he doesn't give up on plays. He's finding ways to affect the play. So like I said when we were talking about this a couple of weeks ago about him. But leading the league in batted balls, that's a lost art among a lot of defensive linemen. So I don't give them any.
I do want to say good morning to P as well. I didn't get a chance to say good morning to you, sir. Come on. At this point, you're not going to give this guy money, Mike, are you? No. I mean, you were expecting what you just seen last year. For some reason, I seen a guy that was trying to prove a point last year because of all the heat that he took last offseason. He gets on social media. These guys aren't dumb. He sees what people were saying. He went out there, played his ass off last year. And again, he played a good season. At the end of the day, I wouldn't have said that was the best defensive lineman in the league. I still wouldn't. And again, Mike, giving this guy any more, where is he at? I mean, we could cut him loose, right? I mean, he's not even.
They can cut him loose, and there's no dead cat money.
Even if people, maybe in free agency we could get that guy. A lot of people are saying Cam or bust, Cam or draft. But look around the league, Mike. I don't know what's out there. We're going to look at more over the next few weeks. Excuse me, of what's available, and to see if that's even an idea. But I got to tell you, at this point, I'm just. You have to move on at some point. And that's the case with every sports team, every league across the country, every city. At some point, you just got to be ready to move on. And if this team wants to improve and move in the right direction, I think that kind of sets the tone. That kind of says, hey, this team is moving forward. The team of the past dozen years that's been highly unsuccessful, we can't continue to do this. Maybe let's start by taking a name like the Walter Payton Man of the Year award winner, the defensive captain for X amount of years, the guy that was in the All-Pro game for 4, the same amount of games as Mean Joe Green as a Steeler. I can't, Mike, if I'm trying to improve and turn this team around, I don't move forward with Cam Hayward.
I don't either. Like, he had a nice last hurrah. here as a Pittsburgh Steeler, and it's we haven't won with him. We can continue to not win without you. Franco Harris finished his career as a Seattle Seahawk. He was more important to the Steelers than Cam Hayward ever was. Joey Porter, who won Super Bowls here, retired as a member of the Miami Dolphins. He's been more important to the Pittsburgh Steelers. Rod fucking Woodson, arguably one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time, went somewhere else.
Mike,
you can't just keep everyone here. You have to.
The Penguins are guilty of this as well. This is a Pittsburgh problem. You have to get rid of people. They're just mentality that Pittsburgh. If you like the person, you keep them. But if you're not getting production, why? It's stupid. I'm going to go to Yinzer Joe here for a second. He says it's a wash if they let Cam go. But how many batted balls or more tackles do you lose? Or you let him go and get somebody that's younger, quicker, more athletic, somebody that's going to be a playmaker and that can, maybe get you more tackles, maybe get you more batted balls, maybe get you more sacks. That's the problem here in Pittsburgh. Again, with the Penguins, guys, at some point we have to move on from these big names because they're just they're weighing the team down. Yeah. Say what you will, you have to get younger. You're competing with guys that are, average 23, 24 years old. You can't, these older teams, they can't continue to go. Again, look at the results that we're getting. That's, look at the Penguins. 3 years in a row, they're about to miss the playoffs, but they have 3 or 4 of the best guys in the league. They're older. Maybe you cut them, get some younger legs in, change your ways. I don't think it's much different for the Steelers right now. If you lose so long, I think you eventually have to make moves. And also, people say you have these guys and then you build around them. How long do you wait, though, Finch? How long do you wait, Mike? Because, again, you wait around too long on these guys. Again, it's a young man's league. You don't get better every year after you're 30 years old. And unfortunately, between TJ and Cam, and I don't know how old Minka is, but, he's no spring chicken anymore. I'm not saying get rid of all these guys, but, guys, I'm saying at some point you have to make moves to get ready to move on to the next chapter.
Yeah, you have to. And I understand why the Penguins are doing it. 3 of the 4 guys have won Stanley Cups. They've won championships. They know how to win. No one on this team has won a championship. Cam Hayward at 35 years old.
Well, what good does that do for you now? I mean, we haven't made the playoffs in 3 years.
Yeah, TJ Watt's no spring chicken. He's 30 years old. How much more does he have in the tank? You saw, the second half of the season, his tank ran dry. It is what it is. He plays balls to the wall every single snap that he's out there, and it's worn him out. He's not the player he once was. You got to start moving on from these players, and Minka Fitzpatrick as well.
Finch, look at him. Yeah, let's go to Finch.
28 years old.
You're really bombarding Finch's time.
I'm sorry,
it's quite all right. I don't have a lot to say because
let me come to you with this question real quick. Mark Malone says Cam's job is as safe as Tomlin's. What do you think?
That's the comment that I was reading and thinking, yeah, I agree with that. It kind of is. I think that the Rooneys have this, like you were saying earlier, we tend to keep people too long. It's a Pittsburgh problem. I think the Rooneys are a real big part of that. The current regime. Back in the day, Dan, he was a football guy. He understood that, hey, man, this he's on the tail end of his career, or he wants too much money, or he's, hurt. The Rod Woodson is a good example of this. He was at the prime of his career, but he'd had that big knee injury the year before, and you were unsure. And then, of course, he goes to Baltimore and wins a Super Bowl. You don't want Cam to go somewhere, especially Baltimore, and win a Super Bowl. But at the same time,
I'm good with it. If he leaves,
right. Yeah, I'm good with it. But it's not like I'm rooting for that, but I also don't want the guy to leave here, go somewhere else and get hurt or suck. I like Cam. He's a Walter Payton Award winner. He's a likable guy. He's a great captain. He's a smart player. He's a proven good player. I don't think he's a Hall of Famer, but there are some people who argue that he might be. You hate to lose that kind of player because he brings more off the field as well as on the field. That's where he shines. Yeah. And people just love the guy.
Especially Pittsburghers love this shit. They eat shit up.
We have all worked with somebody before, right? That they might not be the 100% best person at that job.
Right.
But boy, do you like that person. They're really great. They're there for you when you need them. They come in on their days off. They help you out when you need this and that. They might not do the job the best. Cam is becoming that guy. And it sucks to lose him. Is he the modern day
Charlie Batch? Are they going to give him a headphones and a clipboard after his time is up? Just let him come to work and stand on the sideline? Remember they did that for Charlie for a couple
Yeah.
seasons?
But they also weren't paying Charlie the kind of money that Cam was going to
No,
demand,
I'm not
right?
saying we give this guy money either. If that's the case, he can just
Yeah,
come
right,
hang out,
exactly.
you know?
That's a big part of it too, because when it comes down to it, there's two things involved here. There's X's and O's, and there's dollar signs. And
Yeah.
if the two don't go together in a meaningful way, then it's a bad deal. And that's the conversation we're having right now: is he worth signing to another extension for what is going to be a very large sum of money, especially considering all those statistics that you pointed out. The PFF stats, whether they are 100% accurate or not, at the end of the day, that's what these guys are looking at. That's what the coaches and the GMs and they look at these stats, and the agents more than anybody look at these stats and they say, hey, number one, he went against a great defense in Kansas City, and this was his PFF score. He had a great game. And it's like, well, we lost the game by 25 points. But these are the things that this is the negotiation, right? This is the bargaining that happens in sports, is that you take a player, even if he's not at the top of his game anymore, if he has the right numbers and he has the right attitude and he knows the right people, it's not who you know, it's who you blow, or whatever the phrase used to be. And I'm not suggesting that Cam blows anybody, but that's what it comes down to. His likability is so high that it kind of hurts your feelings to get rid of him. I think that's where a lot of people stand with Cam, and I think it's where a lot of people stand with a lot of players in Pittsburgh, including your Malkins and your Latangs and those guys.
Let me ask you guys
you know what I'm
question.
saying? So,
Ginzer Joe says you also lose a big mentor for those rookies. Let me ask you guys this: is the mentor is that overrated? Because again, you always like to hear it. You always hear you bring in a quarterback and he can play behind the starter for a while. Is it that important on the defensive line to have a mentor? I mean, again, a lot of these guys are Division I football players. These guys aren't dummies. They didn't come off the streets. They know what they're doing. Do they need? Does it really benefit somebody to have Cam Hayward linger around an extra year past? When he's not doing exactly what you need him to do anymore. But
it's
just
a balanced situation. Is
right.
that mentorship have enough production behind it to make it worth paying him and taking a job from somebody else who could do just as well or better?
Yeah, because we saw it with like Jerome Bettis and Willie Parker, giving him those little tips that he learned through playing himself that some coaches don't have. Players are out there and they have their own little tricks that work for them and they can pass it on. They have a little bit more insight than some coaches,
but not necessary, help there. Right?
Not necessary. No, and like Cam's been around forever. What other great defensive lineman have we seen come through that this time that he would have supposedly mentored? Not Stephon Tuitt, because they were kind of in the same area. Same thing with Javon Hargraves. No, like all these defensive linemen that we have drafted, have any of them developed under his mentorship?
It's a fine point. That's a fine
point
you just made there.
None whatsoever. And so and Cam to me seems he is a phony guy. Notice when they win. I had a great game. I played great. I'm just happy to be out there. They lose, man. We need to play better. Yeah. We need to play better.
Interesting.
I think a lot of players are like that.
Leaders go, hey,
right.
We played a great game.
You gotta have
offense did it, defense did it. They lose, man. I need to do better. I got to play better. I got to step my game up. Can't listen to the way he talks.
I don't know. I mean, would he be a media sweetheart though? I mean, is that I don't know.
He's a media darling. He knows how to kiss.
But would that mercy be given to him? I don't know. That's an interesting point. But we do have to move on, Mike, because we are on time constraints today.
But he is the greatest player of all time.
Mark Malone says, if we don't fix this offense, man, come on.
We got the greatest player of all time.
Sorry.
We have to work on the offense. No two ways about it. And I think that is certainly going to happen, guys. Also, I do want to say good morning to Be Safe 87 on the board. I like the number. He does make a comment about number 87. He says, sad USA lost, but what a game. Happy for Sid. Yes, let's jump into this real quick. The Team Canada does win last night in overtime, 3-2. It was a hell of a game. I'm going to be honest with you. I did watch it from beginning to end. Super hockey game. And you know what? I love the way they don't call penalties in this. It was a lot of fun. If hockey should be a lot more like what they do in this little all-star thing that they just play with the four countries. It was a lot of fun to watch. And again, it doesn't drive you away with a lot of the whistle blowing and the stoppage of play. It was constant. I loved it. Good game, great game. As Be Safe 87 says,
it's wild how these players, who are all professional players from all four of these teams, played for their countries. It's wild how when you take the paycheck aspect out of it, that you get fantastic product on the ice.
Right.
Well,
These are guys that are playing for pride and playing for national, to be proud of their country and to be one with their teammates and whatnot. When you take away those $8 million contracts and you just focus on the product on the ice, you end up with a fantastic product. And that, I think that this Four Nations tournament proved it.
And you're also not having your typical third and fourth liners out there mucking the game up, dragging it to a halt.
That's true. Yeah.
You're having first line centers play fourth line left wing. So you have the cream of the crop there, and you're not playing trapping defensive style systems that you do during the typical 82 game season. So like that 5 games that they played, you had the best of the best playing balls to the wall. It's all out.
That's just it right there. Balls to the wall. These guys played so hard.
Yeah.
And they really were out there because they really truly wanted to win these games, and it made for a fantastic product on the ice. And I got to commend every single player on every single team. That was some fantastic hockey played in the last couple weeks. So it was awesome.
It was playoff hockey.
Certainly for the Team USA over the weekend, they did manage to get the win. They lose 2 straight to finish this thing out, unfortunately. But again, it was a lot of fun. Look forward to if this is what they do moving forward. But again, as Be Safe 87 said, good game for Sid, good for him. And you know what? It was fun. A lot of times things like this can be kind of boring. It was fun. It kept you engaged. Also, guys, the Panthers back on the hardwood tomorrow. They travel to Notre Dame to take on the Fighting Irish. That game starts at 2:15 on Saturday. Mike, why don't you go ahead and tell everybody about the website, and we'll get into some trivia.
The2dumbyinjures.com. Check it out, everyone. We got over there. We got the links, got the merch store, the blog back up. The mock draft is up there. We're going to have some more mock drafts coming up. I might do one like every Monday just to keep moving along. And then maybe like on a Wednesday, I'll have something up as there as well. But yes, the blog is back. So check it out, everyone. The2dumbyinjures.com.
And do not forget to hit that like
boom. Go check it out, everybody. www.the2dumbyinjures.com. A lot of cool things over there. Go check it out. All right, guys. So this is a draft question. Everybody knows that we're just anticipating this NFL draft coming up here. Not too long, guys. This question is a NFL draft question. Mike, Finch, put on your thinking caps. Everybody on the board, everybody at home. Here we go. Question of the day. It is a NFL draft question. In the 21st century, how many first overall picks have not been quarterbacks? In the 21st century, how many first overall picks in the NFL draft have not been quarterbacks? Take a moment to think that over, guys. We're live 5 days a week right here, Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. to 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time every day right here on YouTube. All right, guys, it's the question of the day. In the 21st century, how many first overall picks in the NFL draft have not been quarterbacks? You don't need to know the name. If you could think of the number or guess if you don't know it. But the question is, how many picks in the 21st century were not number 1 overall picks, were not quarterbacks?
Wow.
There's only one name popping into my head immediately.
There's one. I have a second
but I feel like there's more than one. There's got to be at least more than one.
Yeah, I have another one from the Texans, but
the Texans. I have one. The very first pick.
But what was that in the 21st century? Or was that
it was because they were in 2002 is when they came into the league. So all their picks have been since then.
So
Mario
Mario Williams, Myles Garrett.
Yep. Myles Garrett. Okay,
for the Browns.
All right, you could do it collectively. Here we go. So Myles Garrett is correct. That is one. Mario Williams is correct. So that's 2.
Yeah. There has to have been a running back that was in there first.
No wide receivers. I don't think there are any corners. A defensive line or like an offensive tackle. I'm going to say 3.
3. Okay.
I'm going to go with 4. I feel like there just has to be a couple more. I'm going to go with 4.
All right. Over enthusiastic Mod Caleb on the board says at least 2. You're forgetting someone. The guys say 3 and 4.
Yeah, I feel like
3
4.
and 4. or their picks for how many in the 21st century, how many first overall picks have not been quarterbacks in the NFL draft. Mike says 3. Finch says 4. Let me give you some names here and let's figure this out. Mario Williams is
Yeah.
correct. They
That
said
was the
this.
first one that I thought of. Yeah.
Myles Garrett was
Yep.
correct. Mike, in the year 2000, Courtney Brown.
Oh, that's a name
Courtney
drop.
Brown from Penn State.
Yeah.
The year
Went to
2000.
Cleveland, right?
Yes. That's 3.
D'Amico Ryans, maybe?
Ooh, I got the list. Yeah, I see there are a
Well,
couple.
don't look at the.
I'm sorry.
Why would you-
You're stealing Ryan's thunder.
I'm
It's
not
his
stealing the
job to
thunder.
tell
I'm
us if we're right or
stealing- I'm
wrong, you
sorry.
fuck.
Well, people are listening,
out
and
loud.
it's not a game if you're looking at the answers. Why do you do
We
that?
got it wrong. We got it
Boo
wrong.
this
I
man,
thought you were
everybody,
recapping.
boo
We
this
have to
man.
cut the trivia out. Mike cheats all the time.
I treated it one time. I thought
cheat every
I thought you
day.
were telling us.
You're always
I thought you were telling
clicking,
us.
and I hear clicking and beeping, and
I'm sorry.
I got to change this around a little bit or figure something out. Mike
Curiosity killed the
cheats.
cat. Curiosity killed the cat.
All right,
I'm
so Mike,
sorry.
how many do we have figured out so far? Or Finch? Let me ask Finch. Finch, how
Ask
many
Finch.
do we? Well, because you have the answers. I don't want to ask you.
I turned.
I
it
do not
around.
have the answer.
All right, so Mike, you're out. So Finch,
I'm
I
out.
have Myles Garrett, Mario
Yeah.
Williams,
Yeah.
Courtney Brown.
Courtney Brown.
That's 3.
Was there not a there has to have been a running back, man.
How about Jadeveon Clowney? 4.
Yeah, I wouldn't have thought of him. I forgot about that guy completely.
Mhm.
Jake Long, lineman. 5.
Was Joe Thomas a first?
I think he was in top 3. He wasn't a top.
Yeah, he
overall
might have been
pick.
like a second or third pick.
And one
Ooh.
more, guys, for a total of 6.
6.
Eric Fisher. Eric Fisher completes the list of non-quarterbacks drafted in the 21st century.
Wow,
is
that's
the
a great
overall
that's a great
pick.
trivia question. Yeah.
Myles Garrett, Jadeveon Clowney, Eric Fisher, Jake Long, Mario Williams, and Courtney Brown. So 6. That's not bad for, what do we have? 24 different. I mean, that's a
Yep.
quarter of the picks, right? That's not quarterbacks.
We missed one. Trayvon Walker, Jacksonville in 2022.
You know what? I thought that. Yes, you're right. Absolutely,
Yeah.
100% right.
Yeah.
So there you go, guys.
Now, how many of those picks went on to have great careers? Not
Right,
not too
I'm
many of them.
looking.
Garrett
at this
is a good
point-
one.
At
Myles
this point,
Garrett.
Brown had an okay couple of years,
But no, he was a bust.
Mario
but he
Williams.
was mostly a bust. Mario
Mario
Williams had okay
came on
scenes.
strong. He had to end up having a better
Jake Long.
second half.
Yeah.
Williams
I mean,
paid
you
for
got-
an expansion team too his whole career, so
Yeah.
it never really
The
worked out.
Davian Clowney, he was the one that upset me the most. I thought he was just going to be so much better in the NFL.
Yeah,
Matter of fact, he was lingering in there the last time I remember,
Right,
wasn't he? Like a
he's
Brown or
been
something.
around. If he would have been stayed with that team his entire career, it'd be that's what you want out of a first round pick. He gave you production every single year. It felt like, and Mario Williams was really good. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years of double digit sacks. 1 year with 9. He was a baller.
Absolutely. Let me get a couple of these messages here before we start getting ready to take off. Roger Murray says, I don't want just as well. I want better. So if you're going to bring in better, then I'm for just the whole team. Corey Beaver says they forced Polamalu to retire or sign with a new team. Why is Cam more special? Roger says, Corey, I felt the same way about Troy. He's a Steeler, and thankfully he retired a Steeler.
Hell yeah.
And then also over-enthusiastic Mod Caleb says, I only remember Eric because that was a weak draft class and people were shocked that a lineman went number 1.
Yeah.
I couldn't agree more. Matter of fact, I forgot all about him entirely, Eric Fisher. So, you know what, guys? That was a fun question. But I think, again, the big news heading just through this week was the big hockey game last night. Again, Team Canada comes away with the victory. I knew it was going to be difficult to beat Team Canada twice in a week in hockey. Never easy. That's like beating the USA guys basketball twice in a week. It's very difficult to do. So that was a lot of fun. A couple things here before we do take off. Check out Finch and Tim tonight at 9:30. 2 cranky jagoffs right here on our channel. Go 9:30. Check them out. Support them. Hit the like button. All that fun stuff. You are not going to be disappointed. Check out Finch and Tim as they are the Two Cranky Jagoffs tonight, 9:30 p.m. Also, what else today? Derpy, he is still got the flu. He was supposed to be in at some point this week to receive his award. That didn't happen because he won the picks this season for the NFL picks. Once again, Mike, just total domination. I can't believe it.
He's just the beast.
He is. He's a savant.
For you, Derpy, for you, I'm going to Permanis today.
There you go. We are all going to Permanis, and we're going to eat your
Permanis.
worth of your reward, and we'll see if there's anything left for you. Just kidding, of course, Derpy, but we hope to see you back. We hope you feel better, buddy. He has been in bed with the flu.
I'm not kidding. I'm definitely getting a sandwich today. But I'll think of you, Derpy, when I'm biting into my pastrami.
You know what? I'm not going to ask for your thoughts today at the end of the show. I want from each of you, one of you, before we roll, what is your favorite, Mike, what is your favorite Finch Langism? I want one from each of you before we take off for the day. Think it over for a minute.
Yeah.
We do want to thank everybody for tuning in today. We appreciate each and every one of you. We couldn't do it without you. Thank you so much. Everybody on the board, you guys always keep things interesting here on the show, and everybody at home. Thank you so much. Now I'm going to go to Finch. I want to hear everybody's favorite Langism today before we do roll for the weekend. Of course, Mike Lang, the longtime Pittsburgh Penguins voice of the Penguins, did pass away yesterday. A lot of people mourning here in Western PA. Everyone loved the great Mike Lang. Finch, what was your favorite Langism?
My favorite Langism is the one that you knew that the Penguins were doing well when he called it. And it's real simple. It's basic. It's not a special one. Hey, shoots and scores.
You'll never forget that voice ever.
Never.
You'll never forget
it's so
that.
good. So
Mike,
good. I mean, there's a million of them, but that's the one you knew when you heard that one that it was a good game.
Mike, you have to do it in character too. It's got to be
Get in the fast lane, Grandma. The bingo game's ready to roll.
Great job, everybody. Great job, guys.
And that one made it to the sudden death movie. So that one was in the movie.
Yes.
So that's
right.
Yes. A couple of the Langisms made it in, but that's the one I remember.
Yeah, man.
Man.
But hey, great job.
R.I.P. Mike.
Absolutely.
R.I.P. What a legend.
Great job, everybody. Great week. Finch, again, tonight, check out Finch and Tim, Two Cranky Jagoffs, 9:30 right here. Don't miss them. I will be here. I'll hopefully see some of you guys in the board, and it's going to be a great time, so do check them guys out tonight, 9:30. Other than that, not a whole lot going on over the weekend. The Pitt men do take on Notre Dame tomorrow at Notre Dame. But not too much going on. But we will be back first thing Monday morning at our regular time to talk about that and so much more right here on the Two Dumb Yinzers. So I do want to say before we go, is there anything, guys? Speak now, forever hold your peace.
Have a great weekend, everyone.
Good to see everybody. Love it. We'll see you next week.
Well, thank you so much. Thank you so much, everybody, for tuning in. We appreciate you all. Thank you. Everybody have a great, safe weekend. Stay warm. And we will be back Monday at our usual time to do it all over again. Finch got the terrible towel going.
Yeah,
everybody from the Two Dumb Yinzers, Finch, Mike in the Steelers Central Mobile Studio, myself, the Two Dumb Yinzers.